This is the Town of Cohasset Zoning Board on the evening of Tuesday, August 1st, 2023 at 7 o'clock. The meeting is a Zoom virtual meeting. And we have one special permit, regular business, and 3 appeals, which I will deal with, I think have been requested for continuance, and then a few administrative things. Sitting as the Board of Appeals at present are myself, Woody Chittick-Lee Darst, Matt Watkins, Charlie Higginson, and Michael Dickey. I'm going to ask Charlie Higginson. Charlie, would you take the first hearing, because it's a I think we're probably pretty much at the end, but I'm recused. This is 53 Elm Street, Cohasset, Mass. I'm recused because I'm in a butter, or apparently.
Woody, Woody, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Since I couldn't get into the meeting last time, I think it would be better if one of the other members.
Okay, Matt, would you be willing to take over?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Just one hearing.
Yep. So our continued hearing is for, let's pull this up, 53 Elm Street.
Right.
Special permit under 8.7 for the purpose of increasing the size of the house and deck in the rear and side setback. So,
by the way, I'm going to mute myself and.
So Cassandra, if there is somebody to represent that continued hearing, if you can bring them forward.
Hi.
Hi, Lisa. If you don't mind just kind of stating your name again for us. And
Yes. Alyssa Jones. I'm the architectural designer. I'm on the project, and I believe Paul Marabito from Ross Engineering was planning on calling in as well, and possibly the homeowners, Emily Cotter and Joseph Durgan. They might be listening in as well. So we're seeking a special permit for our proposed rear addition and a deck addition to a non-conforming house and a non-conforming lot. And since the previous hearing, I have recalculated the rear facade. I can pull those plans up for you and kind of show you how I changed the hatching on the back elevation and recalculated the numbers. And if that's okay, I'll share my screen.
yep, thank you.
Okay, so on the left side of the page, we're looking at the existing rear elevation is at the top, and the proposed rear elevation is down below. And this is where we're proposing to add a second story on top of the existing first story, and pull the entire wall forward, into the rear yard a little bit more. So let's see, the existing facade in the setback is 116 square feet, and we're proposing to add an additional 72 square feet, which is an increase of 62%. And then on the side elevation, these numbers are is an increase of 39%. So we're hoping that this, you feel our proposal is, kind of respectful of the existing house and the neighborhood. You know, we're increasing the house from 2,400 square feet to 3,200 square feet to add, you know, one more bedroom. And, you know, we're happy to answer any other questions that you may have.
Okay, great. Thank you. We'll open it up to the board for any questions that anyone has.
Well, I don't have any questions. I do have a comment, and I went over this with Cassandra this morning when I was finalizing the draft yesterday. I realized that the site plan and the application do not match. And so one of them has to be done over, whether you're going to submit an amended site plan or an amended application. But if you look in the corner, the top left-hand corner for your zoning chart with the required and the existing and the proposed,
Yeah.
they do not, sorry, they don't match the what's in the application
Okay.
on number 8 on page 3 of
Sure.
the application. So the chart and the application don't match. So one of them has to be amended before we can finalize the draft that I've prepared.
Okay, I think, let me see, I think I might need to ask Paul Marabito to correct the, you know, I think it's maybe, yeah, just a typo on one or the other. So I can have him update that.
Oh,
And-
you're muted there, Lee.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yes, oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, I said I don't have any other questions or comments.
Yeah.
I think everything else was pretty straightforward, but when I tried to match everything up, they
Sure.
don't match. So that was something that has to be on record.
To continue, please hold.
Okay, and then Paul, would you mind just reintroducing yourself for the record, and then maybe you had an update for us? Or Paul, was that you who was?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Would you mind just reintroducing yourself for the record, and then let us know if you had a comment?
I lost the sound for a while, but I think one of the questions you had was the zoning chart on the plan isn't consistent with the measurements we show at item 8 on page 2 of 5 in the application.
Correct. Yeah, Lee said there was a discrepancy in the numbers between the application and the site plan.
Which one were we referring to?
Well, if you look at your application and you look at the zoning chart, you have the setbacks are, if you look at the left side, the right side. Okay, so this was it. So on the application, it's setback 1 and 2. For the right side, you have 12.6 is the proposed, which you put in your application 9.6, but the zoning chart, you have the deck on the left side at 21.6 is your, well, that one, no, that one matches. The deck right side setback you have at 14.3. And the proposed is 9.9, and I believe the existing is 8.3. So those, and then the left side yard setback is, you have on the zoning chart 13.8 and it's proposed as 12.3. So they're not consistent.
Okay, I believe the numbers on the plan or on the plan view would be the correct ones.
Then you would need to, they don't actually match with what your your presentation was the last time. So I think what you need to do is you have to amend one or the other
Okay,
so that they both say the same thing.
no, I understand. I can do that.
Okay.
Emily, just not having studied it, I mean, is there any issue if it was to be one of the others versus one of the numbers versus the other?
No, no.
With the proposal?
Based on the plan, no, I mean, I don't, that's really the only thing that would affect, that's really the only thing, other than that. You know, the draft is fairly accurate. They are increasing. They're increasing, in the setback behind, you know, to the rear of the house. Which they have obviously, the required 300 feet to go back. So they are increasing. I think one of the things which when I went back over my notes and I went over the minutes, I realized there was a lot of confusion between the deck and the house, but the whole structure is being increased. So there will be an increase in the setback. However, it is, it's not going to be noticeable from the street, and it's going back further back. It's all being in their backyard, so it is going to be increased, but it is not. Nobody came forward to state that they had any objections to it, and so.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments or questions from board members?
No,
I'm good.
Okay, and I don't see that David's joined us yet, right now. Okay, and Cassandra, do we have anyone in the audience that has any questions? Okay. Well, let me think, Lee, we have, we really just would need that one submission. Otherwise, we would be prepared to, I guess, Charlie, would we close the meeting and, you know, still deliberate on the draft tonight and then just have the submission, because it's pretty minor, come after the meeting? Is that appropriate?
I think that's appropriate.
All right, so I'd make a motion to close the hearing.
Seconded, Charlie Higginson.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, Matt Watkins, aye.
Charlie Higginson, aye.
Lee Darcey.
Michael Dickey, aye.
Thank you for the follow-up, and the meeting's closed. We'll deliberate on that tonight. We have a draft decision that Lee has prepared, and we'll discuss it tonight. We just have a couple of meetings to continue, a couple of hearings to continue that we won't be discussing. So we should be pretty brief tonight. Thank you. And Woody, you can come back and take over.
Okay. All right, so I'm back. Now we have 3 linked appeals for 94 Black Horse Lane. There's Lot D, Lot E, Lot 7A. They are appealing a building inspector's decision to deny building permits for these properties. Now, I don't see any new material. I'm looking at the agenda. Are these people prepared to make a presentation, or are they requesting a further continuance?
So they had requested a continuance. I had sent the board a letter back, I think it was Thursday or Friday.
Okay,
it
it's
was
not in the
Thursday.
packet, I don't believe.
Your packets would have been created by Montana prior to that, so it didn't make it into the packet. It was emailed to you.
Okay, well. At any rate, there have been three requests for continuance. Does the board have any comments or want to discuss this, or should we accept the request or approve the request of the applicant to continue this until September 12th?
I guess I would just have one question. And my understanding in one of the past meetings was maybe they were proceeding the planning board route. Has there been are they currently on the planning board agenda and they're just kind of keeping a placeholder here, or what's the status with that?
So I can update you on that. They have applied for a definitive subdivision application through the planning board. They are not going to be heard until the September 6th meeting of the planning board. So they've asked for a continuance until your October meeting.
Continuance until October or a continuance until September 12th, a week later?
Until October.
Okay. But Matt, I think you're right. This is just a place, they're just reserving their right to continue the appeal if they're turned down by the planning board. That's the way I would read this. Although I think I don't know, we haven't seen the materials, so I won't speculate. So anybody else have a problem with continuing this until our October hearing?
No,
No,
No, okay, well, I would make a motion to accept the request of KD Custom Builders LLC for lots D, E, and 7A at 94 Black Horse Lane to continue this hearing until October. What date do we have, Cassandra? Do you know offhand?
October 3rd.
October 3rd, until October 3rd of this year. So I've made that motion.
Seconded.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Woody Chidick, aye.
Joe Higginson, aye.
Lee
Michael
Dark,
Dickey.
aye.
Michael Dickey, aye.
Matt Watkins, aye.
Okay, so a 5-0 approval of that. We could go, if you would like, to deliberate on Lee's draft at 53 Elm Street. So I would recuse myself again on that deliberation, and then we would segue after that's done to deal with the meeting minutes of June 6 and July 11. And I guess that's probably about the only other piece of business this evening. Very short. So Matt, why don't you take over? I will again mute myself and stop my video, and you guys can deliberate.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, Lee, I'll maybe ask you to just give a quick summary, but maybe before you jump into it, I just wanted to clarify too. So Charlie, I did see that an email about whether you had to submit a form to
Which he did.
Okay, so you'll be one of the voting members on this deliberation then, right? I just wanted to confirm who we have as voting members because David's not here for the deliberation.
Correct. So Charlie can be a voting member because he did fill out the Mullen form. Because Dave's not here, he is not going to be eligible to be a voting member. So you'll just have to assign 2 other people to be the voting members.
Okay. Well, Mike, if it's all right with you, maybe we'll have myself and Lee be the other 2 members.
I'm deeply offended.
I am so excited. I think this is one of my first times that I really, okay.
Okay, yeah, Lee, do you want to just, we all did get the draft that you distributed, so do you want to just give us a quick overview?
As I said, one of the confusing things I think the last hearing, or at least it was confusing for me, was they they broke it down between the deck and the house, and really the whole the house is being extended. But as I mentioned during the actual meeting, they have a very, very large backyard. Obviously, Woody didn't even know that he was their neighbor. And they go very far back, so increasing it in the back, they have plenty of room. They were in the setback. They pulled the steps up from the deck into the deck so that they considered that moving from 8.3 to 9.6 because they removed the steps. But they did increase the amount, the first floor, the proposed addition on the first floor will increase by 229 square feet or 16%. And the increase in the second floor in the setback is increasing from 1,014 square feet to 1,531 or 60 with an increase, oops, that's a typo, I'm gonna have to do that, with an increase of 159 square feet. No, it's more than that, for 71%. So they are increasing what is in the setback, but it is in the back of the house, and as far as the overall increase to the house, the rest of their additions is not within the setback. So most of the additions for the house, the left side of the house conforms, the rest of the rear conforms. So based on what they submitted, and when Alyssa Jones submitted the amended A21, which showed the increase in the facade for the rear and the side setback. And so based on a review of all the information submitted, I believe that it's not substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming building. And it's not injurious or dangerous to the public health or hazardous to the traffic. And as I said, there was no comments, there was no written comments from neighbors or abutters, and nobody has come to either meeting to state any negative comments. So I drafted this that we will approve it upon once, and I have a note in there that we need the amended either site plan or the application. And I noticed one typo with square footage kind of that I'm going to have to change. So that's all, or reformat.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I think with me, right, I think the things I was looking at with most detail was the increase in facade and the two numbers that were provided as a follow-up. In my mind, one of them gets us kind of close to, the breaking point, the 62%, but the other one being at 39. To your point, I think I could justify that most of the additional volume there was towards the back of the house, and deem it to not be a detriment to the neighborhood. So I think I landed in the same spot that you did, although I think when the facade numbers were sent over, they made you look a little bit closer at the number, but I still ended up in the same spot. So Charlie, how about you?
I agree with you. I think minor is maybe a little strong wording as to the extent of the enlargement. It's certainly not detrimental to the neighborhood, so I agree with the decision.
Do you have a suggestion for minor, changing that, or?
Just draw a line through it.
Oh, so don't put minor in there, just say, all right, that's fine. When I looked at the site plan compared to the neighbors, it's really the one neighbor on one side, they're going to be lined up with them, and the neighbor on the other side, they go past their house. So it doesn't appear that it's really going to be blocking anybody's space on either compared to the abutting properties.
Yeah, we had a property that was maybe 3 or 4, no more than 5 homes down from there. There was in front of us and approved that had an addition that, seems to fit in well to the neighborhood, and I think this hopefully will be the same. So, yeah, I didn't have too many edits really to the decision. So I think once they get you that amended site plan, you could take out that note and just kind of firm up who was at what meetings, and we should be good. So if Mike, did you want to comment on it at all?
No, I'm good, thanks. Plus, I don't have a vote, right?
Right, but we still deliberate. You could still deliberate with us, Okay, well then,
I'm just, they are, according to the plan, I just thought of, they are filling in that front part, which would be in the front setback.
I don't think so.
No. You look at, no, actually. A little bit, but not, it's kind of hard. Now, are they keeping that the same?
It said they were.
Yeah, but they're putting another bedroom, so the bedroom must be in the back. It's just they have that odd cutout in the front between the 2 dormers. But I guess they're not going to put anything, they're going to redo the door, but not do that. So they aren't putting anything else in the front, just the rear. Okay, all right.
yeah, there's probably some volume there that's not within the setback, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's probably further back there. So, okay, so I will clean that up. I'm sure they're going to submit that. I'm sure they're going to submit it pretty quickly because they probably want to get this on record. So, as soon as Cassandra or Montana give me the word, I'll finalize this. Actually, I'll finalize it and send it to Cassandra tomorrow.
Okay, so I'd make a motion that we accept the decision as edited by Lee for 53. Yeah, for 53 Elm Street. Motion's been made.
Seconded.
Made and seconded, all in favor. Matt Watkins, aye.
Oh, it is an aye.
Lee Darcey.
Great, unanimous. Thank you. And Woody, we'll invite you back.
Okay, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we have 2 administrative items on our agenda today. The first of which is to approve 2 meeting minutes. First of which is June 6th. Does anybody have any edits to that are substantive? I thought they looked fine, or at least I didn't see anything that I thought was amiss.
That was what he refreshed my memory. That's the one that we had collectively had some edits previously and sent to Montana, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I was good with that myself.
no.
June 6th was the meeting that I did not attend, right?
Let me see.
Yeah. 'Cause
yes, you were
guys
absent.
appointed me to
You were-
that
you were
zoning
absent.
committee board thing.
That's a lifetime appointment,
I believe me, I will have my revenge in this life or the next.
Well,
I'm telling you, it's so happy that you volunteered for that.
Yeah, we had a meeting scheduled for last night and we couldn't get a quorum together. So it's a mess.
well, I'm kind of looking forward to an hour and a half, Mike, of your recapping this at some appropriate moment.
Yeah, good luck with that.
If anybody has any objection to the June 6th minutes as edited in our packet, let me know. We can discuss. Otherwise, I'd make a motion to accept the minutes of June 6th.
Seconded, Charles Higginson.
Okay, so moved and seconded, Woody Chitik, aye.
Charles Higginson, aye.
Lee Darcey.
Matt?
Should I vote, given that I wasn't at that meeting?
I don't think you can vote. I mean,
Yeah.
it wouldn't
Matt Watkins,
wouldn't matter, but I mean, no, it would only matter if we had a failed a quorum and you had to go through that Mullen or whatever it is process to get up to speed, but that's all moot.
Thank goodness.
However, the next one, which is July, that was a fairly brief meeting, not as brief as this one, but Charlie Higginson was not present at that one, but has subsequently filed the paperwork on, is it Mullen, Cassandra? The Mullen
Yes, the Mullen form.
form, if you will. And so I again went over this. I mean, the one just done on whatever Durkin and Cotter, I was recused, so I would have no opinion on that one. And the only other thing that might be questionable is administration. Chairman Chitik asked if anyone would like to vote for a new chair or vice chair. You left out the raucous laughter from the members of the zoning board when I made that suggestion. But other than that, that they look good to me.
I just saw one typo, which I'll tell Cassandra.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm good.
Well, just out of curiosity, your typo. is-
It's in the minutes for the 53 Elm Street, and it's in the first full paragraph. It's in its 2/3 way down. It says the rear corner is 15.1 feet, which would be on hold in the side yard. So that sentence sort of doesn't make sense.
Okay, and that's when I can't, I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
able to comment on it because I wasn't part of that hearing.
Yeah. That's just really the only, obviously I read this several times, so that was the only thing that needs to probably be just
Okay,
around a little bit or change a few words, that's all.
Yep, we can fix that.
That's not a big thing.
okay, so I'd make a motion to approve the minutes of July 11th.
Seconded, Charles Higginson.
Okay, moved and seconded, Woody Chitik, aye.
Charles Higginson, aye.
Lee Darcey.
Michael Dickey, aye.
Matt Watkins,
Great. This sets ever new records. Our next meeting, unless somebody has a known conflict, is Tuesday, September 12th.
Woody, I have one question.
Sure.
You have to vote 3 times on Black Horse Lane because they're individual.
Probably to be safe. Well, I did bundle them. To accept. What do you think, Cassandra? I mean,
Typically in the past, you have done them separately. I think,
okay.
whereas the letter combined them all. I think that. would
If we
be
accept the
appropriate.
letter, the request in the letter, then I think that encompasses the 3 appeals.
Fine.
It's not like you're gonna change your vote for 2 versus 1.
Yeah, or if we were going to, let's say, deny something really important, then we would go separate voting, I think, but this is a very kind of an administrative
Total.
action. So I think we're okay, Charlie, listening to you and Cassandra. Okay, so that's done. How about September 12th? Anybody have an issue? No an issue?
Not that I'm aware of anyway at this time.
Okay.
Should be good.
Mike, I mean, I joked a little bit about the zoning bylaw committee, but if there is anything we could do as a zoning board, you know, to lend a hand or whatever, I mean, that would.
Well, as I mean, I'll be pretty frank. You know, the town has engaged as a counsel to the committee, a former judge who I think is really experienced and knowledgeable. And, you know, I think Tom Callahan is, you know, he's got the bit between his teeth. So I think between us, you know, the two of those leading the charge, I think it's really going to be a matter of, you know, at some point, the committee is going to make presentations to the ZBA and to the planning board and explain, you know, why we're coming up with the recommendations that we will come up with, you know, when they're finalized. And at that point, I think it's probably a matter of just, you know, running it by you folks and your collective experience in dealing with zoning matters as to whether you think what we're doing makes sense, or, you know, there's kind of knock-on repercussions that simply didn't occur to us when we were kind of creating the language. As you know, I mean, you know, the problem with, well, the difficult aspect of these types of exercises is, you know, you kind of try and come up with language that you think covers all the bases, and then, you know, next thing you know, there's some weird and wonderful scenario that is present where there's now all of a sudden ambiguity and uncertainty in the language. So I think to some degree that's the best help you folks can provide is, you know, having sat through all sorts of weird and wonderful you know, applications, have a look at the proposed language and you know, poke holes in it, and I mean that in the best sense of the word, you know.
Yeah, I think Tom understands that. This is just me speaking as a party of one. That the height issue that the town approved back in May or whatever gave me a problem when it comes to smaller detached buildings, not a dwelling, but a garage in particular, where the peak of the roof could go to 20 feet, which would enable a person to stand up in a typical garage. If it's lowered to 15 feet, it's literally crawl space. And I don't think personally the issue of massing or height has ever come up for a garage. It's obviously been the main building or the main dwelling. And I think that ought to be, and Tom did say you guys would be looking at it at some point. It's a small issue. But that one, you know, let's take 5 feet off everything in the bylaw. That was kind of a residual impact that I don't think was really thought about. The other issue I had was in a conflict between section 4 and section 12. As I recollect that we approved at town meeting that if regarding uses, a use that is not mentioned in the bylaw deserves a special permit hearing. A use that is prohibited in the bylaw requires a variance, but to differentiate a use that's mentioned versus a use that isn't. In section 4, the wording wasn't changed. Why it appeared exactly the same wording in two places in the bylaw, I don't know. But it was changed per our town meeting vote in 2021. In section 12, it wasn't changed in section 4. My recommendation, I don't care where it doesn't really belong in section 12 anyway, but.
Yeah, well, we're working on section 4 right now.
Okay, great. Well,
And
if you
so
could just sort of tuck
I,
that away.
Yeah, I'll try and keep that in mind as we go through that exercise.
Yeah, and the other issue I would have is that the last go round, because I did, and Charlie, I think, attended all or almost all of the public hearings. But we really only got to look at the final version going to town meeting with about a week and a half to 2 weeks to go. It was in the warrant, et cetera, et cetera. If we could get all of us could get alerted a bit earlier. I mean, it wasn't meant to, any objections or concerns weren't meant to torpedo anything, but there wasn't any time to modify language or pick up anomalies.
Yeah, I had a conversation with town clerk Lisa, and she commented that she, in retrospect, wasn't happy with how the information about the proposed changes to the bylaws were disseminated. And I got the sense that she was hoping to try and provide better, more clear information to folks. And I don't think she spoke, I don't think in our conversation she talked specifically about timing, but I do know that she felt that the bylaw changes weren't properly presented in the warrant and whatnot, and seemed to me to be focused on trying to do a better job for the next go round.
Yeah, and it was, I think that's, put that down as live and learn. I don't think it wasn't intentional to be late in submitting some of this stuff, and it wasn't intentional or desirable for me to have some concerns, but I nevertheless had concerns.
No, I hear you.
But put them on the table. So, okay, with that being done, I wish you well, and I'm glad
Wait, I had
you're
one
on it.
question.
I'm glad you're on it.
I had one question too. I know it's not on our agenda, so we probably can't. Yeah, we can't.
Well,
No.
usually our agenda, there are maybe other business that not anticipated at the moment. I don't think we're prevented from having a discussion on things. Making a decision is another matter.
Being recorded, so it seemed to me no worries about open meeting stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I
Depending
guess
on
my-
what you're going to ask about, you may or may not be able to have discussions.
Yeah,
It's kind of like if you know
I was gonna
about
preface
it.
it by saying, I know the town hasn't received any submittal, right, for a multi-unit development, but there's been some chatter in town, obviously about a potential development. And I just, for my own clarity, like if it involves joining together lots in an area, that would first go to the planning board for review, right? It wouldn't get to us until that piece had been for any development, I guess. What made me think about it more too is like the Black Horse Lane one that we just continued. Was originally a planning board. They kind of pulled out, came back here. I'm just thinking procedurally, something that would be a multi-unit that would involve combining lots, that would go to the planning board. Is that your understanding?
Well, I wouldn't call myself an expert, but certainly the planning board deals with carving lots up. So my expectation would be if they're responsible for governing these, partitioning of lots, they'd probably have first crack at the joining of lots.
Well, maybe. We would have jurisdiction anytime a dimensional variation pops up, a classic variance, be it a subdivision or anything else. But I don't know. Combining lots is usually done to lessen a nonconformity or to eliminate one, and it's certainly done in the Registry of Deeds primarily. We haven't had any. I can't recall any big issues. I'm sure there always are, but big issues of combining lots unless they create some other variance situation. And I'd be hard pressed hypothetically to give an example of that. I'm not sure I could. So I don't know, Matt. I mean, I think it may or may not, if this is a subdivision. No, it's not a division. It's I don't know anything about the project. So it's pretty hard to speculate. Is your concern that it'll come to us eventually, but not initially, or is your concern that? it
Yeah, I
should
didn't know,
come
yeah, I
before?
didn't know who would come to when, if would be involved. I know, like, for example, on a much smaller scale, if something like Habitat that fell into the, 40B category ended up in front of us, I think we approved that we were all good with the plan, but also we didn't really have any grounds to kind of scrutinize any of the setbacks or anything on that plan, so I was curious if it's a bigger plan and it's affordable too, does that kind of really limit what we're capable of doing, or does it come?
Well, where our jurisdiction might come in is if a change in use, multi-unit projects are not allowed in a number of districts in this town. Should they be, that's quite a different issue. But if it were a use that's not allowed, that would come before us.
Okay.
But again, I mean, it depends on the district and so on and so forth.
So if I could just speak to that for a second, it is my understanding that it is a use that is not allowed. So it would have to go, at the bare minimum, it would have to go before the zoning board to ask relief for that. To answer your question, Matt, I suspect that they probably would go to the planning board first, looking to combine the lots, if they were going to actually pursue the project. But as you said, it hasn't come there, like there have been no applications received for any boards, including the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, and I think for Matt's concern, if the combining of the lots is not an issue that I think would probably come before this board ever. But if the effect of that is much greater density, maybe lot coverage, you create a lot coverage variance making this up, or setback, incursion, sure, that would come to us. But I don't know, we just have to see.
Yeah.
But I think there are some dimensional issues, and almost always use would come to us.
Okay.
Where is this project? Just out of curiosity.
It's, I forget the exact address. I think the proposed addresses are 334 and 336 North Main, combined with a lot that doesn't have a number for North Main.
I believe it's opposite Wayne.
Correct, yeah, they call it 0 North Main, 334, 336.
How far up is it beyond that Dolan Lane area that we had?
Corner of Forest Avenue and North Main.
Oh. Okay. Where Robin's garage is.
Yeah, across the street.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that just got cleared.
Clear?
They just took a whole bunch of trees down right directly across from Robbins Gas. I mean, Robbins Station.
Yeah, used to be gas.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, there is that tree bylaw as well, but I mean, I'm assuming it'll come before us then, is what Sandra says, if it's not allowed use. Tuck that away, Mike. That may be something that the bylaw committee should at some point think about. Should more multi-family or multi-use uses be acceptable in certain districts? right now, there's a pretty much a blanket prohibition and in this day and age, I don't know how beneficial that is or harmful.
Yeah, no, I think that's on the radar.
Okay, good. Probably not in time. So maybe these people are waiting for that. All right. So I will see everybody in September 12th. I wish you a nice summery month.
Would you like to make a motion to close?
Sure, I'd make a motion to close this hearing.
Seconded,
Moved and seconded, Woody Chitik, aye.
Joe Higginson, aye.
Lee Darcey.
Michael Dickey, aye.
Matt Watkins, Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
guys.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody.
I,
Good night,
is
everyone.
Montana on vacation? Is that why she isn't here? Or is that, okay, I didn't know
Yes.
she was sick or anything, but
Nope, she's just on vacation, so I'm
Okay.
filling in for her.
that's fine.
Thank you. Thank you for filling in.
Thank you.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
You haven't forgotten a thing, have you?
No, good night all.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.